I did a PowerPoint. I uploaded a PowerPoint.
All right. Hello, everyone. We're just gonna do a quick audio check, just make sure everyone can hear. CJ and Amber, can you guys just test your mics real quick?
Check, check. Am I
Okay.
good?
All right. I think we had some feedback. Sorry about that. Coming back from the Facebook Live page. Okay. All right. So, anyways, we are live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is super exciting. Today, we have a super special guest, CJ Spotswood. He is going to be kicking us off for a three-part webinar series on microdosing. So before we get into that, before we start basically just really diving in, a couple of housekeeping things. So really excited to share this. But before we dive in, number one, we promised that we'd be announcing the giveaway winners. So basically, there's 3 giveaway winners. We are going to be picking 1 giveaway winner for every single uh, event for this 3-part series. So we will be doing that at the end of this. So that way we just don't announce it and people log off. So basically, stay tuned to the end so you can be notified on that. Secondly, we mentioned door prizes. So for everyone basically that is still on the call towards the end, we will be giving away a Terrashroom hoodie, exclusive swag, limited edition. So we'll be giving one of those out, as well as a signed autographed copy of CJ's new book, the Microdosing Guidebook. Yeah, so this is really excited. So for all you that don't know, my name is Jared C. I'm the founder and CEO of Terrashroom. Super excited to be here. We have Amber here as well. She helps on the community management side. She is awesome. So say hi to her, drop her some love. And Vince, he's in the background making sure all the technology is working and that we can publish this for a later date. But last but not least, CJ Spotswood. He is here to basically give you guys a great show. So, CJ, take it away.
Oh, what a great intro. Thank you. Thank you, Jared. I want to thank everyone for joining us today across the different platforms. Uh, Another housekeeping mention, no matter where you are, if you're on Facebook Live, YouTube, or Twitter, all of those comments and questions can pop in there. And Tech Wizard Amber's going to be keeping an eye on that and is going to be throwing them in there so we can go. So you don't need to wait until the end necessarily. You can put them in real time as they're going, and we'll come back to them. So this is want to say thank you guys for coming. This is part 1 of the 3-part series I'm doing in conjunction with Terrashroom. This week I'm going to be talking about functional medicine, functional mushrooms, and kind of whole health a little bit. Week 2 I'm going to talk about psychedelics and microdosing, and week 3 I'm going to kind of pull it all together for everyone and kind of where all of this meets, and leave more time for more specific questions if people have anything that kind of comes up in the meantime. So, a little housekeeping mention here. This PowerPoint is intended for educational purposes only. No way am I, any agency, aforementioned individuals, or Terrashroom condone the purchase, sale, transfer of any illegal substances, nor do we encourage or condone partaking in unlawful activities related to illegal substances. This is for educational purposes only. I am not giving medical advice. If your medical providers have questions, they can reach out as well, but go through them. I will be talking about off-label use of non-FDA approved substances, and I have no specific conflicts of interest to disclose, other than I guess I'm working with Terrashroom on this today. So a little about me. My name is CJ Spotswood. I go by the Entheo nurse. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner in Maine. I've been a psych nurse for over 20 years. Prior to this, I've worked across the spectrum in psychiatry. My underground education, I went to a school which was one of 15 holistic schools of nursing. So I have a holistic background. The education there consists of like uh, yoga for nurses, Reiki for nurses, all of those things that are completely different than what people would normally expect. But I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I have a practice where I see a number of patients for mental health conditions where I treat, diagnose, and prescribe medications for them. But I think that what we're seeing here now is these medicines that are kind of different are different in many ways. And I think that we need to kind of look at what is going on, where can we incorporate this into Western medicine and these different practices. I want to turn this over to Jared for some more intro, a little bit more about Terrashroom in case you came here to see me and had no idea what Terrashroom is.
Yeah. So first off, CJ, thanks for the intro. So yeah, I guess just brief background. I've been growing mushrooms for about 6 years. Anyone that's tried to grow mushrooms know that it's pretty difficult. You have a lot of problems, a lot of time management. Most of the time, it looks kind of ugly. And so basically, over a weekend, kind of hackathon, put together a little contraption that I thought looked pretty nice, and realized like, hey, this could be a tool for other people that they could help grow, their own mushrooms. So that being said, it's been a really wild ride, super fun journey. Things are really taking off recently. So we're just to everyone that's been supporting, like, thank you so much. Like this has been awesome. Just community's been getting really big. Lots of support, lots of cool things coming from it. So we will be basically in the next 2 weeks. We will be doing like an exclusive product. I guess like just product related office hours or like a Q&A. So this session specifically is for CJ and his subject that he's speaking on. However, we'll be posting, and so basically if you guys want some like one-on-one time where you can chat with myself or Vince, we'd love to basically see some friendly faces, say hello. You guys can ask whatever questions you want. It's a fair game. So that'll be basically in the next 2 weeks. Probably we're going to be shooting to do that next week, so stay tuned on that. So that being said, though, I know we did a little bit of quick intro, but yeah, so this is super exciting. Appreciate everyone hopping on, and CJ, let's let you get things going and kick us off.
Great. One more thing I wanted to kind of add about the about me, where it kind of pulls in. And I'll go over this more maybe next week. In my work, I did author the microdosing guidebook, but I've been kind of educating and researching psychedelic treatments, medicines for the past 5 years now or so. I've done some work with Psychedelic Support, writing their psilocybin education program that's available for continuing ed for healthcare providers. I've done education with Psychedelics Today. I'm an educator with them. I've done numerous things with their Navigating Psychedelics for Clinicians and Therapists, and also their Vital Psychedelics, their 1-year program that's open, taking people. I'm also just finishing actually the CIIS, the California Integral Institute of Sciences certificate program for psychedelic research and therapies, which so it kind of my psychedelic background has gotten quite in there. And this week we're going to be talking more of the functional mushrooms, but we'll get to those. So in these 3 weeks, I'm going to talk about what is some mental health things, such as what is a biopsychosocial model of health, the 4 food groups of mental health. I want to have people to be able to describe some medicinal mushrooms that may help with whole health. And then I'll go over these other ones in the future weeks where we're going to talk about what psychedelic medicines and how they're different from conventional Western medicine, what constitutes a microdose, the difference between microdosing protocols, how to find an individual dosing that for individual needs, and how to prepare your microdoses. So the psychedelic stuff is going to come next week. Just so stay tuned. So a little background here. What we have in medicine is looking at what is the biopsychosocial model. And this is where I think that nursing kind of sets apart a little bit from general healthcare in general, because it brings in these different pieces in treating the whole person. So with the biopsychosocial model, the bio would be the biological, the structure, the genetics, the drug effects and diets that someone has. The psychological is the individual's mental health. The their self-esteem, coping, ability to deal with stress and distress tolerance. The social pieces, their social circle, their community, their family, their work environment, work relationships, things like that. And then added on here also is mixed in is the spiritual for some people, where it might be their soul, religion, their place in the world, and having sacred meetings. I leave that spiritual piece out of this a little bit because it doesn't really apply to everyone. But I think that, sometimes some of these medicines do really open up the spiritual model, even if someone doesn't have necessarily a religious practice per se. And this is a significant shift that we've seen is this biopsychosocial model, because we've seen in time, like with animal studies and even individuals that haven't been connected to the community, they end up having worse outcomes in health. If they don't have a connection to their family and the will to drive them to do better, health wise, if they're not doing well, they will, like a flower, wither and die. So I think it's important, to kind of look at that and where we are in our whole health. And also like to talk about what is the four food groups of mental health, or the four pillars of mental health. And these are conversations I have with my patients every day as I'm talking to them, you know. So this would consist of diet, exercise, sleep, stress management, anxiety management. If you don't eat well, you're not going to feel well. If you're not having that exercise and getting your body moving, you know, you're not going to feel well. There's I remind my patients that no matter what I'm being able to prescribe them for different medications, it's not going to. None of them are really going to supplement or take the place of any of these. Maybe to some aspect, the stress and anxiety management, or I can prescribe medication to help with sleep. But if you're not getting it, you're not. If you're not getting healthy, restorative sleep, you're not going to be able to have that whole healing that's going on. So some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about here for the different medicines, we're looking at, diet specifically. So the diet is, what do we take into our body? And, coming from the Latin dieta, for anything we take into our body, we have to kind of think about, yes, we know the food we drink, the water we drink, things like that, but there are things that we consume that's going into us. So that would also include, social media, watching the news, talking with other people. We're consuming those types of things going into our body. It might be the blue light that we have coming off of the computer screens or tablets or phones as we're talking, late at night. That blue light that's coming in affects our sleep. It lowers the melatonin production, and then we have worse sleep. So there's all this interconnection played between all these different parts. So what are medicinal mushrooms? What is the functional medicines, the mushrooms that we have? I've got a couple we're going to talk about today. Those would be lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, turkey tail. I'm going to mention chaga. This is by no means a full extensive list, but this is kind of some of the more common medicinal mushrooms that are out there. And I like to add here that much of the information that I'm going to be talking about during this comes from research that's done based on animals. There's not a whole lot of human studies that have been conducted with medicinal mushrooms. As we know, research can be costly and very time takes a lot of time to do, but the cost to be able to get participants and run them, and even if it's done at schools, it does have a huge overhead to it. So a lot of research has been done with these with animals, but or in test tubes. And then we can take that information, we can kind of extrapolate it out into what might be the application within humans. And this isn't anything different than standard medicines that we use when looking at those. They start with doing test tube models. We start also using with animals and animal testing, and specifically often mice. So a lot of these things can be extrapolated out. So let's see. Lion's mane, you know, not to be partial, but is one of my favorite mushrooms to look at. If you ever find it in the wild, it really looks like the hair, the beard off of a lion, and you can feel in your fingers. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And it has so lion's mane's been found to have lots of healing properties traditionally. Buddhist worshiping Buddhist monks would use this lion's mane tea, and it would help increase their concentration during meditation. It was known as shugendo. Um, lion's mane's been helping with memory loss. We've seen this in mice studies. There was a study that was done with mild Alzheimer's, individuals with mild Alzheimer's, who showed improvements in their cognition when compared to a placebo. And so this is one study that was a human study with it. So there was and that was in individuals. They were using about a gram of lion's mane, which would be 1,000 milligrams, roughly every day for about 49 weeks. So it wasn't some extensive time, and they saw cognitive improvements in these individuals. Um, we've seen where lion's mane has helped with decreased neuron damage within the brain. It helps get rid of those amyloid beta plaques, which accumulate. This accumulates in individuals that have Alzheimer's. So that's one way it's kind of going and helping with that. And to note, there's not a lot of great treatments for Alzheimer's at this point. Um, I'm very excited to see where this comes, especially in where I talk next week with psychedelics. The really can be really helpful for neuronal damage and these neurocognitive disorders. So, there's been other animal studies that have shown where the lion's mane helps regenerate brain cells and improve functioning in the hippocampus regions of the brain. These are the parts of the brain that we start seeing processing memory happens, and where we start seeing some emotional response, which I'll talk about a little bit in the next slide here. Um, so also we can see with this, we can see with lion's mane, there's decreased risk of heart disease by having increased fat metabolism and lowering triglycerides. We can lower the spread of cancer with these substances. We've seen where that's kind of taken into consideration. Improvements in the individual's blood sugars, which can then lead to lower neuropathy and neuropathic pain. So we can help reduce pain for some individuals, especially with diabetic type of issues, and especially in their lower extremities. Um, of all the different mushrooms that are out there, lion's mane is considered the fourth highest antioxidant of all of the mushroom species. Other things that lion's mane's great for, it has some of the vitamins, the thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. Um, I'll talk about actually next week or the week after, where lion's mane is often stacked with microdosing and with niacin to help improve some of the flow of the microdose going through. Other minerals such as zinc and potassium here. But we've seen, like I mentioned, in the improvements in depression. The anti-inflammatory effects can show that the lion's mane can lower anxiety and improve depressive symptoms. Um, kind of the model that we think about when it comes to mental health is the serotonin model when it comes to mental health, where the main treatment is SSRI medications in with that. But we've seen where that's not necessarily the case. The treatment is not shown that's necessarily it, but we do know that by increasing serotonin, we can improve that. But another pathway of depression, I think that's going to be very exciting to see moving forward, is the how it works with the inflammatory processes and the gut brain biome that's connecting those. So I think it's going to be interesting to see as we kind of learn more about the inflammatory effects and mood, where are we going to be at with that? So, common dosing for lion's mane is 3 to 5 grams a day. But like I had said, that the study had shown just that 1 gram daily did have over 49 weeks did have that neurocognitive benefits that were there. So things for us to think about, things for us to look at and keep an eye on is that lion's mane can be can be something that can be hugely helpful. Next functional mushroom I want to mention is cordyceps. Um, yes, you may have heard this in your lately. The cordyceps could has been talked about heavily in the Last of Us series. I'll talk about that momentarily. Um, but cordyceps has lots of historical and traditional use. It's known as the caterpillar fungus because of how it looks and how it grows. Um, it has a long history in old Chinese medical books and Tibetan medicine, where they referred to cordyceps as being and a treasure because how it can have um, a tonic type effect, where the word tonic coming feelings of vigor or well-being, which is where the word invigorating comes from. It invigorating, when we think of that, it's increased energy, improvements in appetite, stamina, endurance, revitalizes, restores the symptoms of fatigue, exhaustion, and chronic stress. I think of where this might be a great medicine mushroom to start adding in, especially for athletes, um, restoring what they may have from burning and working out and things like that. Uh, Cordyceps has a stimulating and warming effect in a traditional sense. It has an affinity to the kidneys and the lungs. And as it has that affinity to the kidneys and the lungs, what we see is these improvements such as um, colon, lung, skin, and getting rid of, the inflammation in immune markers and slowing tumor growth. There was a couple of studies that had shown also where traditionally these the cordyceps will improve studies where it showed improvement in exercise in older individuals and improvements in memory and sexual functions in mice. So we start seeing some of these things and we start thinking about where can we apply this and the inflammation. And like I said in the previous slide, that affinity um, to the kidneys and to the lungs, these are some spots where we've seen some improvements potentially in cancer treatment, helping out with those therapies, getting rid of some of the side effects, um, chemotherapy, things like that. It can be very hard on the system and exhausting on the system. So by improving that strength and fatigue and keeping that immune system improvements, we can see that as having the improvements there, but also having slowing the future tumor growth, which has been actually tested in test tubes and have seen that as an improvement. So, and cordyceps has, like I said, have improvements in memory and sexual functions. It may have improvements in hormone regulation, such as increasing libido in women and increasing sperm health in men. Like I said, though, with The Last of Us, there has been talk of the cordyceps and some negative side effects to it. Here you can see cordyceps will also grow inside of insects. Here it'll grow. You can see in their heads, it will grow out and eventually take over in these insects, which is fascinating. But really, I can assure you that at this time, there's no evidence that cordyceps will be infecting humans' brains, causing such a scenario as The Last of Us. I will say I'm not going to guarantee that. I am in no way a mycologist, but there's been no evidence of that going on. I guess I probably should have said spoiler alert, but I think at this point, if you know what The Last of Us are, you kind of probably have an idea that there's some mushroom talk in there. So another mushroom to talk about is reishi. It's known as the mushroom of mortality. It's also herbalists call reishi the king of medicinal mushrooms. And because of it has such well-rounded support in numerous body systems. There's reishi research has gone back over 2,000 years in medical written medicinal texts. The Chinese Taoist monks wrote about how it was used to promote calmness and enhance their meditative practices as well. Reishi was used by Chinese royalty to promote longevity and as held as being the mushroom of immortality in that esteem. Reishi is listed as the most cherished among the superior herbs and considered to bring that long life, support healthy aging, boost Kwai, and help with the body of light. There are 6 different colors of reishi that's referenced in historical literature. Each one of the colors, each one of the different parts have their own unique benefits in traditional medicine. Um, Other things that reishi can help with sleep. It's also great for its immunomodulatory effects, so helping with immune response. Uh, there is a risk of some GI upset with it. So you have to kind of dose it slow and see how you do with it if you're going to do it. Um, so yeah, it has that boosting of the strength and stamina, has improvements in cholesterol for some people. So getting rid of that hyperlipidemia, help with some of the UTI symptoms that someone might have. And once again, another mushroom that can help with mood and anxiety and getting rid of that restlessness and stress. It has that anti-cancer properties, specifically in the prostate for men, can help with it. There have been in research with it, there have been a couple of cases, only 2, where there were individuals had some liver problems. So, want to make sure is as this goes through the liver, that you do have a clearance and know that if your liver is doing well, chances are your primary provider would let you know if that was a case. So talk with them about that. So contraindications with reishi mushrooms. Um, like I said, that liver piece, but also it can counteract with some blood thinners. So if anyone has a cardiac history and are taking cardiac meds such as heparin, warfarin, Coumadin, things like that, you'll want to talk to your medical provider about your wanting to use reishi as a part of your whole health, just to be aware of that. And you might not want to take it if you're on any immunosuppressant medications as well, because it does, as it works with it, it can counteract and not allow the immunosuppressant medication to work as efficiently. So as be aware of that, and that's where I think it's important to talk with your healthcare providers about what you are taking and why, even herbal medicines and traditional medicines, because even though there is a small chance it could be. So the next one I want to talk about is turkey tail, which is another beautiful mushroom that is out there. um, Turkey tail is can be foraged naturally when it does come early in the season. If you find it, you can have it's a little easier, because as it gets later in the season, it gets much harder to cut through and harder to eat, and almost like a wood. It's considered a polyspore in that it grows like this on trees. Turkey tail is known for its protein-bound polysaccharides. These are known to help stimulate the immune system. Um, that was so the this was first discovered. There was a chemical engineer working in a chemical lab in for Korea, chemical industry, and one of the engineers there observed his neighbor had his health turned around and got much healthier after drinking tea made from turkey tail mushrooms daily. He ended up he convinced his employer, the chemical industry, to investigate these healing properties of these mushrooms that he was having in his teas. As a result, they isolated some of the strains from the turkey tail. This was in 1971, and started commercializing it through Curia chemicals. And in 1977, the Japanese Ministry of Health approved PSK for clinical use. Um, and since it's been extensively studied for having it a large amount of supporting the immuno health in many different situations, but primarily in oncology. So once again, for these anti-cancer properties. There is the China State Food and Drug Administration has 13 products that are approved based on the natural produced turkey tail. Turkey tail has been used to support the immune system health for peoples with weakened immunity. So it might be something you might want to consider using turkey tail versus reishi if you are immunocompromised. Um, has some strong antioxidant properties, protecting DNA from free radical damage. We hear about free radicals and how they can break down the cells in within any living product or living person. And these free radical damage, the turkey tail can help counteract that. So some of the traditional uses of turkey tail, removing toxins, increasing energy, removing fluids from the body, strengthening the internal organs that are responsible for the immune system, supporting the liver, lung, and spleen functions. It also can help individuals with hemorrhoids, joint pain, and cough and breathing problems. So very exciting what turkey tail can do. Additionally, has a probiotic effect, helping with gut health, may help the liver. Also could help delay fatigue with athletic performances. Can help with support insulin sensitivity, similar to other mushrooms I had mentioned earlier, helping with UTI effects. Are we seeing a trend with some of these parts of the body and how these really can all work together in response with the cancer medications and radiation? Turkey tail is also very commonly used for animal health as well. There's some products that people use with their animals because, as we know, we want our animals to live as long as we can and be healthy and feeling well. So turkey tail is dosed frequently, 2.4 grams by mouth daily for up to 12 weeks. Um, Sometimes it's a good idea to cycle off of it after taking it for a length of time, just so your body can, recuperate itself, get itself back under control, and kind of refunction and kind of get its feet under it. So it could, encourage to cycle through it a little bit. The next mushroom I wanted to mention here is chaga. Depending where you live, you may have seen this much more commonly. It's not necessarily a mushroom per se. It is, but it's different because it grows on this canker or conch, this black part that we see on this birch tree in the colder climates, typically in the northern hemisphere. And that mass, that canker that's growing on there, is not the mycelium of the mushroom, but more of a wood fiber. It actually like grows into the tree and kind of takes over that tree slowly, uh, taking from it. So many times people will take it and cut it off of the trees and dry it out and use it in teas. It was first medicinal use was out of Russia in the 16th century, and people were using it as a tea to enhance their stomach health and improve that stomach health that might be there. Um, the black, like I also want to mention that black part that's there, that we start seeing that's growing on there, is due to the melanin that's inside of this mushroom, this fungus that's on there. And that melanin is known for having clearing the skin, the cleaning up the skin and skin health. But there's over 200 preclinical animal and cell studies showing how the chaga can help with antioxidant effects, boosting digestion in the skin, like I mentioned. Also has a lot of modulates inflammatory responses. It is antimicrobial, and it's also known as a adaptogenic. So adaptogenic meaning that it helps to normalize or regulate the stress response and the hormone response. So sometimes as we know, and we going back to that beginning where I was talking about like the pillars of health and how the biopsychosocial model, when someone is sick physically or mentally depressed, the body can get worn down with it. So being an adaptogenic, it helps to regulate that stress response in the hormone response. So those are the main mushrooms that I've covered this week. There's some others that are out there. I wanted to give time to kind of get these get these ones talking about, kind of look at the more common ones that we know, more of the common ones that may be able to, with Terrashroom's help, kind of produce and kind of go about. So that's those. Next week, I'm going to start talking about the other types of medicinal mushrooms that are out there. And I'm going to start talking about probably what many people are actually interested in with the psychedelics and microdosing. In 2 weeks from now, on the 24th, I'm going to talk more part two of the psychedelics and microdose stacking and tying together these mushrooms, these functional medicine mushrooms that are there, and how whole health altogether. On the slide, I want to mention, here's the contact information. Don't worry about it. Amber's going to put this contact information into the chat as we get moving, getting things going. I have not been watching any of the comments going because I can't multitask that well. I'll give it that. But I'll open up for questions.
Yeah, wow. CJ, thank you so much. The comments have been popping, so I think you got quite a few questions to ask. And I'm not sure, Amber, did you have any that you wanted to maybe like pick out, or ones that we could start answering, or just go from top to bottom?
Sure. Yeah. I've highlighted a few of them. So little clarification question, CJ, when you were talking about amounts of mushrooms, you said 1 gram daily. Are you referring to dry or wet?
I'm talking about dry. Yeah, dry. That's typically when we start looking at the supplements and stuff, they'll do the dry them out. Yeah, that's typically it. When I don't know
And
specifically, when we look at the other types of mushrooms, we get into the reishis and the chagas, how those dehydrate down. I can speak to psilocybin. I know it goes down to 1/10 of the weight. I don't know about some of these other ones. I will apologize for that.
yeah.
Did you want to say something? Sorry.
No, go ahead, Amber. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. There is a question about, is there a concern with taking too much?
I think too much of anything is not good. We think of that. Yeah, I think that, too much of anything can be not good. And, we have to also think about some of these things that we're putting into our body. There is that potential of interacting, that they're still being cleaned out by the liver, and or the kidneys, depending on the different ones. So, you don't want to take too much and overload the system. Even, daily vitamins, if you take too much of those, they can end up invoking, problems in the kidneys, as I said, the liver, and going into over. So, yeah, I think that yes, there is a chance of going too much, but depending on the different mushrooms that are out there, there's a lot of great resources out there that kind of tells you what they typically dosing is, to kind of see where you're at. So,
Awesome. There was a question about this is a little specific, so you might know. Has there been any positive effects on people with DID or potentially the development of kidney stones? Because you said that one of them is good for kidney health.
yeah, I've not seen any research showing where any of them will lead to uh, kidney stones. I think that would be a great question if someone has that specific. Talk to their urologist about that, because I know a lot of times they'll give a list of what to take, what not to take. So I would have to refer to the urologist of that. But I'm assuming with the kidney health, if these are medicines that are traditionally used for kidney health, and once again, I'm not giving medical advice, but if these are things that are traditionally used for that, I think that would probably be a good specific. And I don't know who asked that question, but in my world, DID is the dissociative identity disorder, which I
That's
don't
what I
know if
was.
that's specifically what people are asking. Like also colloquially known as multiple personalities. Um, until knowing otherwise, I'll say I don't know of any where that can help with that specifically, unless if we look at some individuals with the DID, it might be from, PTSD, things like that, and be triggered by anxiety, depression, emotional response. So, I would say this could be used in conjunction with the other medications if that's the case. To help with that, I would talk specifically with your provider if that's the case and what you're looking at doing. I have patients come in every day with, here's what I'm taking. I'm like, okay, what else are you taking? What else are you taking for herbal or supplements or over the counter? And just to make sure that, these aren't counteracting or interacting with one another and preventing the breakdown, et cetera. So,
There's a question about serotonin syndrome. Can you speak to that at all?
yes. Um, I'll talk about serotonin syndrome more specifically next week when we start talking about psilocybin mushrooms but the quick answer is there with these mushrooms and even the mushrooms I'll talk about next week, there is not a chance of serotonin syndrome with them.
Okay. We're getting some more questions coming in. This is great. Can you speak to anything about, I know you're not giving medical advice, but someone asked about safety while pregnant.
So that's yes. That's where it gets difficult with pregnancy is there's just so many moving parts here.
Mhm.
Recently the way that medications have been changed with having different classifications. They've kind of stepped away from the old model. But if you talk with your OBGYN and providers, they've got a good list of what to take or what not to take and what the encouragement is with that. I have not seen anything where any of these are uh, counter therapeutic or can lead to issues. Um, based on pregnancy, but I wouldn't want to be quoted on that because I can't. I'm not a specialist with OB when it comes to looking at with things to kind of consider is, does it cross the blood-brain barrier? Does it cross the placenta? And then even after birth, does it cross over into the breast milk? Where the challenge of those types of answers when it comes to this is a lot of these traditional medicines have not been studied in humans, so it's more in the test tubes and in animal studies. So I
Mhm.
don't know if they've ever even been studied for that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And then there's a pretty good question here. Is there an evidence-based way, best way to consume? And they gave some examples like pairing with food, vitamins, eating on an empty stomach, warm water, first thing in the morning / before bed.
Evidence-based, no. There really hasn't been a lot of that. Like we said, there wasn't a lot of studies that have been done on humans. I think a lot of times it's more of a if you're looking to do it, what fits your individual needs and what works best for you. Um, if we look at the traditional use of many of these mushrooms that I've talked about here, they may traditionally be putting them ground up or inside of teas and being consumed in that manner, especially the reishi and especially the chaga that I had mentioned, were made in tinctures. Um, so whatever works for you, and if looking at some of them, if it induces sleepiness, you might want to plan on dosing them later at night. Um, I would say it'd be important to also have plenty of fluids with these, because as we're having that increased load on the kidneys and on the liver, we want to make sure we're hydrating and being able to optimize that. But when it comes to evidence-based, I have not seen anything of that, unfortunately. I think it'd be great to know, but lots of people with these, especially the invigorating feelings and feeling better, this might be a great way to incorporate this into a morning routine. We see a lot of companies that are doing these mushroom coffee like substances or teas, and kind of as where is that? Do you want to have that invigoration in the morning? Do you want to do the calming teas with some of these later in the afternoon and the evening? It's personal preference. And if it has some GI upset with it, and I'll talk about this next week when I'm talking about with psychedelics, there's a lot of other ways to help mitigate those GI symptoms, such as natural ways, such as incorporating ginger or mint, honey, things like that, that kind of help coat the stomach as well.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, we've got some other like specific questions, but if you've got any other questions that you want to throw in, please do it now. The last other specific question, I don't know if you know anything about any studies that have been done on Hashimoto disease.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't specifically. I mean, when we think about the with the thyroid and the being an autoimmune disorder, the immune system in Hashimoto's is starting to attack the thyroid, thinking that the thyroid isn't there, that the thyroid is not part of the body, and attacking it. I think if someone was looking at the immune response of some of these mushrooms and incorporating it, it might be part of a good practice to going with it. Once again, I would talk to your provider about that. I wouldn't forego Western medicine to just do this, but I think that the incorporation of these complementary and alternative medicines with traditional standard medicine may be able to have better outcomes.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, I think that's the most of the questions that we got in. If you want to take it over, Jared, and announce some giveaway winners and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, it looks like Beth had one question around good online resources for people with bipolar disorder, maybe around mushrooms. Is there anything you could recommend for that, CJ, before we wrap up?
With bipolar,
Yeah.
did I hear that right? I'll be talking about more next week with some of these other medicines, specifically like looking at the psychedelics and stuff, and the bipolar. But speaking of like this week in specifically, if we look at bipolar, these medicines I've talked about where they help with the immune response, and helping with that, and helping with mood and the anxiolytic or anti-anxiety effects that can be happening. When we start looking at that and incorporating that, looking at bipolar, I think might be a part of that whole health that can be hugely beneficial with it. Because if we can get rid of that immune response, the anxiety response, things like that, it could be a huge portion of that can be helped. I think that, if you were my patient coming in with a bipolar and wanting to stop medicine to do these medicines, I would be leery of that. But I think that if you were to incorporate these with the other medicines, that would probably be helpful. But it's each individual. And you start have to look at, so when I also to think about with these medicines with bipolar specifically, these mushrooms this week do not affect like the serotonin system. It's more of the immune response, so they should not induce mania or a manic or destabilize someone. If that's I hope that answers, was it Mary's question?
Beth, I believe.
Beth. I hope that answers your question, Beth.
Let me sneak one more question in here because it's really good. She also asked, I think it's the same person, Beth, asked that she heard the powder form is not good to take due to the body not being able to absorb chitin. Do you recommend extracts? And can you speak to that?
So, well, the big difference between the powdered forms and the extracts, and is the extract is where they extract it out, so it's more powerful. It's more potent, pound for pound, basically. When we look at the difference of them, we have to take into consideration sometimes the filler piece of it or the rest of what's in it might be less harder to digest, like through the GI system. I wouldn't say one is better. I wouldn't say one is necessarily research-wise better than the other. I think it's important to kind of look at when you're getting these is the cost in particular, like pound for pound. Like if someone was to get these medicines and order them or go to a health food store, the powder is going to be less expensive than the capsules because they've gone the extra step of putting it into the capsules that are there. If someone's going to be getting the extract, if you're getting it from a major distributor, it might be less expensive that way. But I don't think that one is necessarily worse than the other. Some people might tolerate one better than the other, though. And then cost.
Very interesting. All right. I think that's going to be, I think there was a question around, say, for child or adolescents. I think that we're going to cap it at that. So Bailey did ask, is basically mushrooms, are they safe for child or adolescents in regards to what you discussed today? We're not talking about next week's.
Yeah. I think when we look at like children, we can, if it was incorporated into a holistic, I mean, these are things that have been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years with adults and children and geriatric elderly and whole health. And, many of these traditional medicines don't differentiate children to adults, except for maybe dosing specifically and looking at what's better for dosing. You don't want to give a kid such a high dose, but, we put these into teas and the kids are drinking them and it's a low, a lower amount than what an adult because they have a smaller system. I think it'd be, could be something that could be helpful for them. If we think of like not mushroom related, but elderberry, we could add to the tea, which has the immune response as well. I have a lot of people who will use, especially this time of year, friends that'll get elderberry syrup that they'll actually make and add it with the chaga and make a tea that will help with their immune response and the cold symptoms and the nasal and the chest. And I wouldn't hesitate giving that to my daughter if she was able to palpable and drink it and wouldn't complain about it. If it's the tasting well for them. But yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So everyone, wow. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the engagement. CJ, thank you for just such an incredible presentation. This was a lot of fun. Looking forward to doing this again next week. But all right, save the best for last though. So let's definitely talk about door prizes and then also the giveaway. So first off, for the giveaway, you do not need to be present on this call to do that. That would be a bit unfair. However, for the door prizes, absolutely. So if we do call your name, please comment that you're present. Otherwise, we will basically go to someone next. So I guess, Amber, I might put you on the spot, but who do you think, should we do the door prizes first or the giveaway?
Let's do the giveaway first.
Giveaway. Okay. All right. So what we've done, and well, I guess this is a bit of what Vince has done. So we basically compiled all the entries. Vince wrote this algorithm, and basically what it did was spit out 10 finalists, if you will. So Vince, if you can share the wheel of names, this is going to be basically the 10 finalists. We're going to spin that, and the winner of this is going to get the mega Terrashroom giveaway. So this basically means you get a Terrashroom grow chamber, you get a full 12 months or a full year supply of grow cakes, and then also some pretty cool swag. So Vince, is that something you can throw on real quick by chance? If not, let me see if I can get this. Oh, all right. Kyle. Oh, I don't think. Oh, no. This wasn't presented. How do we? There we go.
There it is.
Okay.
Yay!
There we go. Autumn. Okay, so this is Autumn Autumn, and it looks like you basically Autumn some digits at gmail.com. We will be sending you an email to collect this prize. So congratulations on that. And now for what everyone here can win. This is the fun part. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the winner for the giveaway. So CJ, you want to showcase your book really quickly? So this winner, they're going to get an autographed copy of CJ's book. You want to showcase that real quick so the audience can see CJ? All right. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right. So this is for the Microdosing Guidebook. You get a author's signed copy, and we'll be nice, so we'll just we'll throw in a Terrashroom t-shirt to go with it. All right, Amber, do you wanna pick someone out, or let's see, how are we gonna do this? We're gonna pick someone, or I'm gonna close my eyes. This is what actually we're gonna do. We're gonna close our eyes, and I'm just gonna blindly pick someone from the comments section. So I'm just scrolling up and down with my mouse. 3, 2, 1. Putting my finger.
No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Stop.
Tabitha Marie, are you on? There we go. All right. Well, congratulations, Tabitha, on the book as well as the t-shirt.
Yeah.
You can, let's see, if you can drop, I guess, how do we want to do this? If you want to like message us, or basically we'll get your, if you can get your contact, maybe shoot me an email. We'll basically make sure that we get your shipping address, get that out to you. All right. And then, so we're gonna, I was gonna say, blow up the comments so that way we can do a decision. So this is gonna be for a hoodie. So kind of getting into, it's so cold outside. So this is gonna be still a nice seasonal gift, but all right, do this again. 3, 2, 1, gonna scroll. 3, 2, 1, and Carlos del Castillo, are you on the call still?
Carlos,
Carlos, you were literally on 1 minute ago. This is crazy. We'll give you 30 seconds. Like 15-ish. Okay. Carlos, let's see. All right. Okay. Sorry, Carlos. It's not looking too good. Okay. Sorry about this. Oh man, this is so sad. Okay. All right.
Oh,
Carlos.
I see Carlos did put in there that he is here.
Did he?
On Facebook Live.
I'm not seeing it through the thing. All right, we'll figure something out if he does, but we got to keep the show kind of running. Yep. So all right, round 2. That's right, Shelby Lynn. Okay. Scroll. Let's okay. I'm gonna pick in 3, 2, 1, and boom. Duff Stoneson, congratulations on. Are you there? Let's see. Duff, come on, man. Oh no. Okay, we'll give Duff about 15 seconds. Man, this is crazy. Okay, all right. Oh, there we go, Duff. Okay, you commented. Okay. Collect your prize. Come on down. The price is right. All right. So yeah, and we did have a lot of people ask about different like basically like swag and stuff. So yeah, maybe we'll figure something out so we can make. We've actually kind of been talking to a vendor to make some swag available. So if you guys do want to buy like a hoodie or something, but that being said, so keep in mind, this is a 3-part series. We have 2 more next week, and the week after, we'll be announcing the 2 other Terrashroom Mega giveaway winners. so that you get the full grow chamber, 12-month grow supply, swag, and then also we'll be doing a signed copy of CJ's book. We're just going to make it a t-shirt and the book, and then also a separate for a hoodie. So, you know, the more webinars you attend, the better chance you get of winning. But anyways, that being said, this has been really, really awesome. Duff, if you can go ahead and send me an email or us a message as well, we'll get the shipping stuff figured out. But wow, you guys have been absolutely amazing. This has been super, super, super fun. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, CJ. This has been an awesome time. And I think most importantly, CJ, if people want to learn more about you, if people want to check out your book, where do they go?
My website is entheonurse.com. All of my social media, I don't have TikTok, I'll just tell you that, is at entheonurse, ENTHEONURSE. My book is available anywhere that you want to get books. Since I have it through a distributor, support your local businesses, small businesses, because if they can get it in, which I love, because chances are if you order from them, they'll want to get 2 more just to put on the shelf and get the word out there. It is also available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Books a Million, all of those other places. So, but if you go in person to places, they'll probably get more. So I kind of like that to get the word out. Yeah. And then if you do like it, I would appreciate people leaving a review on Amazon, because then it gets shared a little bit more. So, yep.
All right. Wow. We got some comments. So I think what we'll be doing is, first off, thank you, CJ. This has been awesome. We do have a lot of comments, so this can go long. I think what we might just be doing is like, a lot of people are asking about how to enter these contests, some of these giveaways. What we'll go ahead and do is we'll be doing a new giveaway. I'll basically make that page live. Per giveaway laws and such, we had to close that previous one out, but we will be doing a new one, basically starting probably in the next 24 hours. Swag, we'll figure that out, post some of that on our socials. It'd be great if you could follow us, then we can stay in touch. And then some of the other questions I'll go through and answer to those. But thank you, everyone. This is great. Happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend, and really looking forward to seeing y'all for our next session. Have a great weekend. Bye.
See you guys next week.